This is the Balance Dilemma. We tackle the often uniquely, but not always, female dilemma, managing life, work, family, and self. I'm Maura Carlin.
And I'm Christy Derrico. At the Balance Dilemma, we speak with women and men to hear their balanced stories. Our guests are entrepreneurs, reinventors, creators, executives, parents, and partners, telling us what we really want to know. How the heck did they manage that? And can you have it all and all at the same time?
On this episode, we are talking to a married couple, Susanna Ludwig and Dave Marcus, who've had to find balance with a blended family of 4 children, ex-spouses, and career pivots. Now, hopefully, Christy and I won't add to any family tension. Susanna is a life coach who helps individuals and couples navigate major changes, including when they're stuck and need guidance moving forward. She specializes in personal relationships, career shifts, and coping with chronic illness. Her prior career was in film production, where she produced an Academy Award-nominated film, King's Point. Dave is a college admissions coach at Ingenious Prep, and he helps teens navigate the process, figure out who they are and who they want to be, and the best place for them to pursue further education. We interviewed Dave a few years ago, it's episode 17, before he and Susanna married, as they were first navigating merging homes and families. Dave is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and the author of Acceptance, a book used by many high school guidance departments. So enough accolades. Thank you for joining us. Welcome. And we're going to start with the career pivots.
You both had totally different career paths, yet you ended up as coaches. How did that happen? Susanna, tell us.
Well, for me, first of all, thank you so much for having us. We're really both excited to be here today. For me, the pivot happened. I had been a film producer for my first career, which was my dream career. I loved it. And at a certain point, it became quite clear to me that it wasn't working for me anymore, for a number of reasons. Number one, I had some health challenges that made the long hours of film production very hard. Number two, I had a child who was about to be a preteen, and I was recognizing that I wanted to be home with him more, not less. And number three, the film business is a business that's very volatile, and financially it was getting harder, not easier, to make money, which sounds confusing, but that's how it was. And so for all of those reasons, I felt very clear that I wanted to shift, but I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. And so I started doing what I now recommend to my clients, which is I just started listening to what was lighting me up and paying attention to that. And the more I did that, the more it became clear that coaching was something that would follow my natural abilities, be fun, be more stable, allow me to be home, all the things that I just said.
What does it mean to listen to what lights you up? Were you actually listening to things, or were you sitting there thinking about, gee, that was really great and that really sucked?
Yeah, so I've told this story before, and I'll tell it briefly now. What happened was sort of a funny thing. So I had been divorced, and I had a friend who called me and asked me to help a friend of hers, to talk to a friend of hers about her divorce. So we started setting up this series of calls, and I would talk to this woman every Sunday for 30 minutes to an hour on the phone. And I would find after, when we would hang up the phone, that I would feel like really alive. My heart would be beating quickly. My energy level was higher. And I just couldn't stop thinking about her. And the more I did it, the more I wanted to do more of it. And then randomly, before I knew it, she started telling other women that she was working with me. And before I knew it, I had 5 clients. And the more I had those clients, the more I wanted to keep going and helping more and more people.
And did it require retooling? Or
I did go back.
Education or?
I did go back and get 2 different certifications. So I do have a coaching certification. And coaching is an industry that, what's required is a little bit broad. But I did go back for my own. I felt that it was important to have a certification just so that I would have some structure underneath what I was using to guide how I was supporting people.
Right.
Yeah. Now, Dave, you had another career that had you on the road a lot, and you decided to pivot. What brought that about? Was there some instance where you said, I can't do this anymore?
Yes, and first I want to thank you both. Also, we are pleased to be the first married couple on your podcast, and we hope at the end of this we will not be the first divorced couple on your podcast. Just kidding.
Relationship builders.
No, we get along quite well. And we there's some weird parallels. So I knew from age 15 or so I wanted to be a journalist. That's all I wanted to do was meet people and travel and learn and go to different countries. And in fact, that did happen. I was based in the U.S., different places, and then Mexico, and then Colombia, and then Brazil, came back. And long story short, journalism started to implode a few years ago for a lot of reasons. And there were pay cuts, and there was sort of this kind of crisis where the jobs were getting scarcer, and every time you turned around, they had a sort of a different beat, a different mission, a different thing for you to do. So it happened that I really, over the years, I covered college admissions a lot and loved doing that. And I wrote a book called Acceptance, which is a book about an amazing counselor at a school on Long Island. And I just followed him for 2 years as he put a class through this process and wrote a book about several kids he was working with, from a valedictorian to the jock. And I went on the road to California, to Florida, to Georgia, and I give speeches about the book Acceptance. And people started to ask me, sort of like Susanna, well, can you just help our family? So I help people pro bono for free, and then I took on paying clients. And then I realized recently, I was doing this sort of as a side hustle for many years. This is what I'm meant to do. This is what I love doing. This is my calling.
That's great. Well, I found it, first of all, interesting that for you, family was part of the issue, and I think it was for you also, needing to not be so far away. But more to the point that you work mostly with adults, and you work mostly with teens. And I'm curious, like, what lessons you've each learned that you can apply to your own family, between the two of you and between your children.
That's such a good question. I think one of the biggest lessons, I work with both couples and individuals, and I would say a big chunk of my work, maybe about 70% of my work, is around relationships. And one of the most important things I like to help people learn how to do, which I think we're pretty good at, or we work at being good at, I should say, is really listening to each other, spending a lot of time really checking in, and having some rituals in our everyday daily life where we are really focused on staying connected. And I think that's important in every relationship. Oftentimes in our busy world, we're so running around doing a million things that people are not as intentional as they could or should be about the other people in their lives, whether it be their partner or their children. And when we stop and sort of spend some one-on-one time really listening and checking in and asking questions about how are you really feeling, how are things going, what's going on for you right now, how can I support you more, I think it makes a huge difference.
And being that you're both coaches but in different areas, is there cross-pollination? I mean, there's been studies done about couples that come from a similar professional background, and whether that's a good launching point or not. But I would imagine that it is true that you could sit and say, how did you handle this problem? And let me tell you about this. How does it work in your relationship?
Yeah, we definitely talk to each other about challenges that we have or questions that we have. And we definitely look towards each other for how we might approach a client in a different way. I think one of the things that's really interesting about Dave and I is that we both really cared about storytelling in our former careers. And now we both really are determined to help people and help families and in his world, his clients have the best college process, and for my clients have the best happy and healthy relationships.
Well, actually,
they can
that's
have.
interesting, the idea of the storytelling, because what you're doing is part of it is helping kids tell their story for college admissions.
Yeah.
How does that come about or relate in a relationship, the storytelling part of it? Is it the stories we tell ourselves? Is the stories we tell our partners? Or is there some other reality?
Yeah, I think oftentimes in relationships there can be what's the right word? A misconception of a story we're hearing, but is not really what the other person is saying. So the storytelling can play into how we communicate by having there be some clarity about what's really being said.
That makes sense. So how much of the dealing with teens affects the adults, and how much of the adults affect the teen process?
Well, Maura, I mean, I want to not correct something you said, but I want to add to something you said. You said I work primarily with teens, which is true. But you both have gone through the college process with your kids, which means you both have gone through the college process. So
Oh, you mean we were involved?
no, not you all, but other people. So when I deal with teenagers, I love dealing with them, and I love dealing with their parents, but it's a family affair, as we say. So I actually sort of joke sometimes when mom wants this done today and dad wants this done today and the kid doesn't want to do it. I joke that I'm actually like a life coach, relationship coach too. I'm not really, but part of what I do is helping families sort out priorities and sort out arguments and sort out things. And the weird thing about being here is that when I work with the students I work with will tell you that one of the things I say when I start, whether they start with me in 9th grade or 10th grade or 11th or 12th, or when they're looking at grad schools, I say, we're going to talk about your grades and your test scores and all that stuff, but we're also going to talk about the B word. What's the B word? You should know.
I don't know.
It's right there.
Oh, balance.
I want kids, I want families to have balance. I want the kids to have exercise, to get outdoors, have friends. It's not all about college applications and achievements.
It's also moderating expectations and maybe, I think that the title of your book is so perfect, acceptance, finding the right place, which a lot of times parents don't want to hear, and we've been through this process, but telling them, hey, look, maybe you need to aim here instead of here and all that.
How do you together help families find balance? Like, give us some advice on finding balance in the college admissions process, because we hear from, people all over just how difficult and how it's upsetting the entire family as they go through this.
Well, I will not mention a place where this young woman lives, but it's funny you said that, because just this week I've been talking to a young woman who's a girl who's really smart and really ambitious, and she's taking, 6 APs, and she's not taking lunch, and she's taking, and she's doing a science research project, and she's going to another country to research murals and do AI to interpret murals. And I said to her the other day, I said, I want you to tell me, along with that, I want to make sure you're sleeping 8 hours a day. I want to make sure you're eating. I want to make sure you're actually taking some time for lunch in school. I want to make sure that you're having friends. And she sort of was almost taken aback by it. And so I actually communicated with her parents. I'm not a parent, but I want her to get through this process in a whole, happy, mentally healthy way. And I think in a weird way they appreciate it. So we both deal with people all the time who are stressed. I mean, this is a stressful time for everybody we know for a lot of reasons, large, overwhelming reasons. There's a war going on as we're speaking. But I think we both feel, and we both try to live this in our family, that we have to breathe sometimes.
Susanna, does the college process come up in your coaching?
Somewhat, and I just actually went through it myself. I have a son who's graduating in 2 days, so yeah, it does sometimes. I mean, I definitely have a number of clients who have college-age children, so it does. I would say the balance for me is more holistic. I try to encourage my clients to make sure they're having fun in their lives, they're moving their bodies, they're eating healthy, they're getting enough sleep, all the things, because I think, anybody who's not paying attention to all of those areas is probably not feeling great. And how we feel affects our relationships.
But going back to what you were saying about a story,
yeah,
maybe it's first of all, their story that they're thinking they're living may not actually be it.
Yes.
And the other thing is maybe creating a story that's a goal that they could achieve.
100%. Yep.
I think that that's a really good point, that when things are off kilter, it's most likely you're not doing the things that are probably going to make you feel a whole heck of a lot better.
Yeah.
Even just taking a walk, reading a book, simple little things that
Yes.
people don't realize actually contribute immensely to the greater
And
whole.
breathing.
And breathing.
Yeah. I always peel back the layers to start with those basic things before we get into more complicated strategies.
And I'll just add, I was walking in Central Park last year, and I was thinking, I'm always thinking of metaphors, which makes sense only to me. But I was looking at the horses. This will make sense, I hope. And they have, in Central Park, they have these black things on, blinders. They have blinders on because they don't want to see taxis and peripheral things on the side. So I started saying to kids last year, I want you to put blinders on. If you go to some fancy high school or not, and everybody's talking about where they're going to apply to college and where they get in, I want you to put, it's about you. It's about your journey. It's not about your neighbor. It's not about your peer. It's not about your classmate. It's not about your rival. So I also, the other B word I use is blinders. I want you to have blinders on so you just, this process of college applications in a weird way can be joyful. It's a process of self-discovering. It's figuring out who you are and what you want to be. It's not just about SAT scores. It's not just about the pressure and the name brand universities, although those are fine places. And a lot of the students I work with go to MIT and Harvard and Princeton, but not everybody. There's 3,000 plus four-year colleges and universities in this country. So a lot of what I'm doing is what Susanna's doing is helping them tell their stories, but also helping them think about perspective.
And do you have trouble persuading them to look beyond those hyper schools, Harvard, Yale, Princeton?
Always. But I tell them some stories. Like there was a young woman, I taught at a boarding school for a while at Deerfield Academy. Young woman I had was a superstar student, got into Harvard. And then University of North Carolina gave her a full scholarship, laptop, special professors. She turned down Harvard. She went to University of North Carolina, a state school. People were shocked. And long story short, she ended up at Harvard Medical School after college. So I have a lot of student experiences like that. Students who turned down the prestigious, so-called prestigious universities and went elsewhere. You know, I went to Brown University, I went to Harvard. But I always say, truthfully, the most amazing experience I had in education was going to a community college in Florida, and at night with electricians and tradespeople, and learning Spanish, which opened the door for me to go to Latin America for 10 years.
I have a question. We're talking about the easy stuff. You two blended a household. Can we talk about that?
Sure.
That, I think, could ruffle some feathers.
I was afraid you'd get to that topic. We're trying to lay you.
Even the best made plans. Tell us, some outtakes. How did it work? What tools did you use?
We're really lucky. It went really well. We have 4 kids ranging in age from 29 to almost 16. The 2 older ones mostly haven't lived with us full time. So in some ways that, creates its own, what's the right word? What am I looking to say?
Conundrum. But
yeah.
But we didn't, to make sure, we didn't exile them from the house. They were, by the time we got married,
they were
older.
age-wise.
Just to make sure,
Yes.
We love them, we miss them, but they're
it's a bonding challenge.
They're living their
life.
Yes,
they
exactly.
were part of the.
They're not in the same daily life.
Yes, exactly. That's a perfect way of saying it. But our 2 younger met when they were 6 and 8, and that was actually a great age for them to meet because they sort of became fast friends pretty quickly. Very early on, even before we, were that serious. I mean, we were serious, but before we were engaged and married. And it's been pretty smooth. I think one of the things that we were actually talking about this morning, that we sort of decided on pretty early on was we have a policy that we don't reprimand the other person's children because we want to keep that relationship kind of in a more positive light, in a more sacred space. So what I mean by that is if my son does something wrong, Dave is never the person to punish him or have the hard talk with him, although he might be around and be open to being part of the talk. Whatever challenging conversation needs to come after that comes from me, not from him.
But I'm going to throw out an example, is he the narc? Like if he's the one who seriously, if he catches the behavior, does he go running to you to tell you and then you do the punishing?
Well, we do share everything about both of our kids with each other all the time. And we also have a fundamental belief that the core of our family is us. and our relationship. So as long as our relationship and we are doing well, then hopefully that's projecting outwards to all of the kids.
Do you have the same, and I don't know how to describe this, punishment schedule that you would apply to each of them if you break curfew? Whoever breaks curfew, it's whatever it is. And it applies to both of them, or do you have different approach? What?
How about parenting ethos? How about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, that's a great word.
Punishing, I mean, something
yeah,
like that.
That's a good
We've
one.
kind
Yeah.
of gotten away from
Yes,
it, although I do
yes.
like to punish when necessary. But
Yes.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I should not have.
No.
You get it.
No, I was the one who said punishing. You're right.
Protecting the boundaries.
Yes, exactly.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Protecting the boundaries.
I think we mostly do. I mean, I think sometimes we might differ a little bit, but mostly I think we agree.
So you willing to share a story where you didn't agree?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, basically, I'm the dad, so I just ignore everything. That's what you're supposed
Come on,
to do.
you're playing into that dumb dad stereotype, Dave.
So anyway, seriously, I think we'll think of something, but that's a good question. But there's something for all of our 4 kids. We believe in their goodness. We believe in their qualities. We also believe they're going to make mistakes. We are strict about certain things, like we do not allow any drinking of alcohol at our house of those kids. Like a lot of our friends have beer at parties for high school seniors. We
For
have a high
people
school senior.
underage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't. We're very
We don't believe in
strict
that.
about that kind of stuff. But we do believe they'll stumble and they'll fail in little ways, and that's okay. I'm trying to think of a place of time we disagreed. There should be something, but we'll come up with something by the end of this time.
Well,
but,
did you agree
yeah.
on which activities they could participate in, or how
well,
many they
that's-
participate in,
yeah.
or
Yes.
whether they cost too much? Like, is that done by my kid will do this and your kid will do that?
I think we both really believe that kids should follow where their heart calls them, and for all 4 of our kids, actually, that's happened pretty organically. And for the younger 2, that's actually been an interesting, getting back to the blending. Our youngest child, Dave's younger son, is a very serious baseball player, and my son, who's the middle, is an actor. And they're very, very, very different. And that's been really interesting, especially as they've gotten older, because when we're all home or when we go away as a family, they connect perfectly well. In the day-to-day of our life, they don't really spend time together because they have totally different things that they like to do and places where they spend their time. And we believe in that. We believe in they should follow their passions.
But we also make sure that we go to like a neutral place every so often, an adventure land kind of place, a place that they can just be kids again, and it's not like one's with his jock friends, one's with his theater. We're just a family unit, and we try to also get our other kids involved
And that
too.
would include supporting the other, like
Yes.
going
Yeah.
to his
They're-
son's
They
baseball
all do
games
that.
and your
Yep.
son's
we
plays.
Do,
Yep.
we do
We
that.
definitely encourage
and
that.
also, I think Susanna and I really agree on what I call opening doors parenting. So if you open doors to your kids, here's the theater program, here's a summer camp, here's this, here's that. Here for my younger one, it was lacrosse and baseball and golf, and also I tried to get him involved in things like acting, didn't really work. You open the door for your kid goes through the door, then it's up to the kid what the kid's going to do. But we want to open as many doors for our kids, starting early and even through now as possible.
Are you in the same school district?
We made that, yeah. Susanna moved from a different district. We looked at being in different districts, but we really wanted to be in the same district. And it's cool. The kids bump into each other in the high school. They have overlapping friends, but mostly kind of different friend groups. But all of our 4 kids, I don't want to just talk about the younger ones, they really get along well, and it really is special when they all are together, and it makes us so happy. Like it's not always the case with blended families. I know that because I deal with a lot of them, and I see what can happen, and Susanna sees the ravages of what. It's a very conscious kind of parenting. We want them to feel welcome and happy and good. We don't spend a lot of money on them, but we do a lot of just fun things.
Is there particular 3 tips you want to give on being a good step parent?
Yeah. Okay, so I'll give one. Maybe then you can give one. So my first one is this is going to sound kind of new agey, but that's sort of how I am. I just think you have to be loving at every turn, even when it's hard, even when it feels like you're up against something, right? Because when you're the step parent, you're not the parent's first parent. And
The kid's first parent.
the
yeah.
kid's first parent, and it can be challenging. It can feel there's just forces working against you. So I think being the more mature one in the room, since you are the parent, and just being loving, meeting the kid on their level, spending time with them, doing what they like to do, making foods that they like to eat, asking them questions. And when they are a little bit more, maybe not quite as open, you still keep doing it anyway. And you think about it, I like to think about it as like depositing in their well-being bank.
And when I go home, the number 2 tip is I sort of throw off my blue blazer of judgment. So I do have a slightly different way of parenting than Susanna. In my heart, I would be a tiger dad. Like, I would actually push my kids like crazy. Since my kids don't listen, it actually hasn't happened. But I would push them to study more, to do more. Susanna's a little bit more mellow than I am. But I throw off that judgment blazer when I'm home, and I just appreciate her kid for the magic that he is, and I don't impose on him that, you need to be studying for Spanish at 10 o'clock at night or whatever. That's a big one. And I just want to mention a third one, which is we both are really into listening, deep, active listening. So we're talking now, but we want to hear our kids and their stories, and sometimes it takes a long time to go out with boys, especially I've found if you're driving some long place or walking or doing something, you'll hear what's going on in their lives. And often it's just a matter of just being very patient to hear it.
So I have a question. Has there ever been an instance where it's better to be the step parent? So all of us have had a situation where we've watched a friend's kid struggling and our friend is going crazy. They just are really upset about it. But we can see it objectively because it's not our kid. And we can say, look, you got to calm down. You're going to get past this, whatever the situation is. How about in your family? Has it been a benefit to be the step parent?
That's a really good question. I'll take that just because I just was looking. Susanna just sent me a photo of a Father's Day card that the 12th graders, I call myself a bonus dad, not a stepdad, but whatever, that my bonus kid sent me. And it's like brought me to tears, like about what a good bonus dad I am and like how loving I am and how I'm there for him. And he's every year for Father's Day or my birthdays, he sent me these cards. Now, they're probably written by AI. They're probably no, I'm just kidding. But he's very effusive and very generous and very nice. And so I'm lucky he's a great kid, but also I really pride myself on just being there when he needs someone to talk to or when he needs a ride because we live in the suburbs.
We're going to move away from the parenting, per se, for a moment and ask, you've described yourselves as 2 type A people. How do you find balance? And not just for yourselves, but between the 2 of you?
I mean, I think our natural tendencies in our coming together have created some balance because I'm a very driven person, but I'm also a person who likes downtime and likes to relax and likes to chill. And the older I get, the more I need that. Dave is a much more on the go, moving all around kind of active person than me. And I think we balance each other sort of nicely. He's learned to chill a little bit, and I've learned to be a little bit more active physically. And I think that has worked out well for us.
Yeah, and also I mean, as a journalist, I think I went to 45 countries and then a bunch of others in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America, in all over North America. And so I'm more of a I love traveling. I love going out and seeing places. And Susanna's more of a homebody. I learned to appreciate that part of me, which was not so much in evidence before.
I have a question.
You don't have to keep saying that. Just ask the question.
But, this is our balance here. Because it's like, I know she's got something she wants to say. Do you schedule time? I'm just imagining, there's a lot of kids to attend to, a lot of, people that need your love and all of this time that you're talking about. How do you find the time together? Do you schedule it? Do you do date night? Where's your time?
Yeah. So, 2 things I'll say is, one, as having 4 kids yourself and 3 kids yourself, how hard that is for any couple. I think for us, because we met after we already had all of our kids, we really place a premium on our alone time because it has never really been there. We've always had to manage being together around. And so in the day-to-day of our life, we do 2 things. One is we have at least breakfast or lunch, usually one of those, and sometimes both, together every day because we both work from home. So we try to start our day together most of the time. Can't always, but we try to. And if not, we try to have lunch together. So we're having a check-in point that is usually where we're partially just being together, but then also partially running through the various lists of things that we need to discuss with everybody's lives. But even more than that, in terms of fun, we really do prioritize having date nights, and we try to have a date night, I would say at least once every other week, and hopefully more than that, hopefully once a week if we can.
We're going to be down to one kid starting in a couple months when when the 12th grade goes off to college, and we really resolved we want to do more. We don't have to. We'd like ideally some weekends away or something, but just walks, time away, time with us too. And we really, since we deal so much with people and their problems and their issues and their challenges and their stresses,
Right.
we really do try to have quiet time with each other. And we also try to go out to dinner or have dinner home and not talk about exes, which you haven't mentioned, or
Thankfully.
kids, or, well, we do talk about the dog.
Yeah.
And
Dogs are safe.
we always
Yeah.
talk about dogs.
Switzerland. Dogs are Switzerland.
But we really try to not talk about that stuff. Now, that said, I'll tell you that right now we're here in a studio with you, and her ex is at our house with our dog. So that's the life we live. And yesterday I gave a ride from my ex and my ex-mother-in-law to go to a doctor's appointment. So
Truly a blended modern
We really
family.
are.
yeah,
Really
and then
are.
we call
Yeah.
ourselves a very modern family after the TV show. And then we also, you have dealt with this, we have three parents remaining who combined ages over 200 years. And that comes with its own challenges and joys as they deal with health issues, but
Well, you
also
become
we
the
try to-
parent often.
Yeah.
Yeah, we feel like we have a lot that we're juggling. So we do try to just, even if it's at the house, having just a little time. Like, I never watch TV. I was always on the go. As a journalist, unless I was watching news in Mexico, I didn't watch TV. And one of the things we've appreciated is that there are some good shows on. We just try to escape once in a while.
Oh,
So
they're
that's
Netflixing
important.
and chilling.
Yeah, exactly.
I highly recommend YouTube that I accidentally subscribed to, and I'm like, look at all these shows. But here's a good phrase for you to consider: mandatory fun time. I got that from
Yeah,
a
that's a
kids
good
camp
one.
once.
like
Gotta have
that.
mandatory fun time.
I like it.
Susanna, this is a real pivot here. You indicated that you are a fan of Mel Robbins' Let Them theory.
I am.
And I want to know what you like about it, because I've talked to therapists who don't like it.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, what about it you think works?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest lessons that I work with clients about, and also that I had to learn myself along the way, is a lesson of acceptance, of just accepting who the other person is in your life and who you are. And when you do that, when you're able to just accept it and not try to change people, there is a real freedom. And that's essentially what I think the Let Them theory is just sort of finding the line between who you are and who they are, and not trying to expect something different of someone else, and instead only working on yourself.
I
Okay.
have friends who love Mel Robbins, and I am not familiar with it, but I think I need a little bit of what you just said. I'm
So
always trying to fix.
I have trouble discerning that from what I have told my kids their entire lives, which is you cannot control what other people say or do, but you can control how you react to it.
It's the same. It's very similar.
And so I go, well, I've been saying that for their whole lives.
Yeah.
You know.
That's very similar. It's very similar.
Okay,
theory.
I didn't know if I was missing something else. So, what are your biggest concerns for the future?
But can I just
Yes.
add to that, because it's important. So Susanna's being very modest. So I'm like very practical, and she's more like spiritual. I don't want to get gooey, but I will say that Susanna was born with a very, 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 very rare health condition. And so she has learned through procedures and medical stuff all over the country to just appreciate every day and be spiritual in a way that she's amazing that way, as a mom, as a partner, as a coach. She just appreciates things. Where I'm really cynical, I'm like, oh God, they're all out to get me, you know.
Skeptical.
But
Skeptical instead of
yes.
cynical.
She's skeptical better. But so she brings to her coaching and her parenting this kind of joie de vivre, this kind of feeling that you got to just embrace every day, every hour, every second.
Or embrace the chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it could be, it can eat away at you when you're constant. I'm imagining,
Yeah.
from personal experience, people you might want to modify.
Yes.
We can fix this behavior,
Yeah.
and let me help you.
Yeah.
And if you just say, actually, at some point, you can't help them.
Yes.
They need to do it for themselves.
Yes.
It's better for you.
Yeah.
Let them.
Yeah, exactly. You might like the book. I would recommend it.
Someone else recommended it. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah. What
So
was your
the
question?
future.
The future.
Biggest concerns, Dave. I know you're concerned about AI and the future of education.
That's so weird. I was just thinking about that this morning. I'm obsessed with AI, and because I think it has so much promise, but I think it's going to come for our jobs. But, for us, I think we have bequeathed our children a very difficult world. I traveled all over this country as a journalist when I was in my 20s and all over the world in my 30s and 40s. And things are more polarized and more nasty and more fraught, and there's a bigger gap between rich and poor than I've ever seen before. But I'm trying to take that Susanna optimism in and feel like we are raising good people, and they're going to do right by the world and by each other, and they get along with each other, and we have to encourage them to do what they can now to right our wrongs, as our generation's wrongs. But I do worry that we've created a world that's much more difficult in terms of climate change, in terms of politics, in terms of economic strife. But I do have faith. I work with young people all the time, and they're so idealistic, and they're so cool, and they're so interesting. I have a bunch of students who are working on alternatives to fossil fuels, even though that's not the government ethos, it's their ethos. I have kids who are doing incredible volunteering in Thailand, in Florida, and all over the place to make things better. So I worry about the future, but I also have faith in a lot of the young people I've met.
And you?
I worry a lot about how social media, I love social media. I'm a big user of social media, but I also feel that because of the prevalence of social media, that people aren't really talking to each other in the way that they need to. And in all of the work I do, that's one of the things that comes up all the time is authentic communication. And I think when we're all about a quick soundbite or putting something out very quickly, we might not be either A, really listening, or B, really saying what we really mean all the time. And I think that's going to be challenging for our future.
Okay. So we have to ask, and Dave, I think we've asked you this before, so we'll focus on Susanna. Can you have it all and all at the same time?
I think you can have it all, but I don't think all at the same time. And I like to think about it as seasons. I'll give you an example personally of what I mean by that. This year, as my son was in his senior year of high school, I decided to a little bit put the brakes on some other promotional things I wanted to do about my business, because I knew it was his last year at home, and I got involved in some stuff supporting him at school in the theater department. And it became clear to me that it wasn't going to be possible for me to push my company out there in the way I wanted to, and also be the kind of mom I wanted to be. But once he leaves in August, I have lots of plans for the fall of what I want to do to move it forward. And so that will be the season for that.
Yes.
After you stop crying.
He's right.
You're worried about him leaving.
I'm not worried about him leaving. I'm just going to miss him. I think he's going to be great. I think
Right,
it's
well,
going to
that's
be.
what I meant for
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
The change, because
Exactly. Yeah.
change is hard.
Yes.
Well, having spoken to Dave one-on-one and now seeing you together, you two definitely complement each other.
Oh, thank you.
So tell our listeners how they can find each of you.
So you can find me on my Instagram, which is Sus Ludwig, my Facebook, which is Susanna Ludwig, or most importantly, my website, which is susannaludwig.com.
And the easiest way for me, yes, since we're trying not to promote certain social media outlets that we don't like. I work for Ingenious Prep, which is based in New Haven. I coach through them. I also have a website if people want to get to me with questions. Last time I actually heard from some of your listeners. It was really cool, which is my name, davemarcus.com. Pretty old website, but it still kind of creakily works like me.
Well, wonderful. It's been great talking to you. Fun having a married couple to bounce things off of.
Thanks for joining us.
And we're still married.
Thank you so much.
Please follow us, listen to us, and rate us on our platforms, Spotify, Apple, and our website, thebalanceddilemma.com, where you can also subscribe to our newsletter and email us your suggestions. There's no cost, but it means a lot to us.